I personally have a traumatic childhood, and speaking of trauma, the conversation I had with my mom before the trip was that my mom was worried that I would come here and then I'll relive all my trauma and I'll blame her for everything. And after going through this retreat, I felt like through the workshops and through the teachings, the idea isn't to find villains in your life, but it's how to be a hero in your own life. And that was very significant. So another insight which I had was that we are a product of exponential amount of trauma. It's like we have two parents, they have 4 parents and 16, and it's like a funnel or a pyramid, and we are the product of that, and we are also the source of like an infinite exponential source of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And doing this work for yourself is not a selfish work, it is actually a great work of activism. You're breaking the chain, you're ending that pyramid, and at least like one person changing would actually create such a great impact. Yeah.
So you realized that you were carrying a lot of generational trauma in your life.
Yes.
Can you explain a little more that?
Yeah, so my mom and dad, they grew up in post-independence India after the British left. So they have seen abject poverty. And my father has been in a position where like he didn't have money for lunch or food for lunch, so he would come back home from school, drink a glass of water and then go back. That's the amount of starvation that he's seen. And his parents before that also saw a lot of suffering, like beating children and like domestic abuse and all these issues that are not as rampant now, maybe not as much as they used to be, but I feel like all of those leave marks on the next generation little by little. Like my fears about money and the unknown, there's a constant anxiety about the unknown. What is wrong with my health? How am I going to make money? Like I said, I'm between careers, so I'm like constantly afraid. I need to have a job, I need to do this, I need to do that, and I'm like so much in my head. It's like always like there's always chatter that I don't know what I'm going to do next, and I feel like some of these fears have come down from my parents. They're not my own, and they come from programming. Like money doesn't come easily, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to hoard money, and all of that has
or in order to earn money you have to work all the time.
Yes.
That is another myth that we believe.
Or you have to do something that you're not fond of, you're not like happy doing, and all of that I felt like was dictating my life until this point. And I saw so much I can't even explain. I saw like different planes of existence, different traumas from my life, things that I couldn't remember for many years, and I was able to be there for myself thanks to the workshops. I feel like I had one psychedelic experience before this, and I felt like it wasn't in a retreat or like a healing situation. It was more like with friends, and I feel like that was like horrific for me. But having the tools here and having that support system of my friend and Sylvia, and then like doing the techniques over and over during the ceremonies was immensely helpful.
Some of the things that I've learned from my parents and the generations before me, and realized how I had actually passed those down to my children, and the traumas that I've created in my own children's life. So, that being said, I've got work to do when I go home to try.
Now you realize that you couldn't do something
right. No,
before.
I understand that. I'm the one breaking that cycle, and I'm going to stop that behavior, and my children can, heal from my traumas and help them heal from the traumas that I've caused within them.
Yeah.
And then they can go forward and release that so that their children can grow up with less trauma and peace.
We are always doing the best we can. So some people feel so guilty. It's impossible to do something better if you don't have the knowledge. What really happened there? And you don't have the tools.
Yeah.
Our parents didn't have this possibility to learn these tools. now you have this possibility. So it's like a responsibility, no?
Yeah.
Why, if I can start the process to understanding all the suffering, generation after generation, and trauma, and paranoia, and starving, persecution, and why we have to still live in that state. It's not happening anymore, but it's inside of me.